welcome. I'm really glad that you guys are here. We aren't gonna like tour the whole farm because we are focused on winter high tunnel production and designing the ideal pack shed. So my wife Katie and I bought this farm in November of 2007. There was nothing here except for the little short part of this house. And 6.5 tillable acres down here in this creek bottom, which is really good growing ground, really great soil. And everything else I've built since we've been here. I built a greenhouse first, then a barn, first side of the barn, and then another side of the barn, and added on to our house about 4 years ago. But everything's just sort of been a little bit at a time, whatever I had a little bit of money for, because banks aren't really excited to loan money to small-scale vegetable producers. But this is my 11th year farming now, full-time. And when I started, I had 19 CSA members. Now we're up to like 87, I think, CSA members. But a significant part of our sales are farmers market sales, and then also some wholesale sales. The CSA actually is the smallest part now of the big grand income streams that come in. I could not do this without, in the last 11 years, really amazing people that have worked for me over the years. And my crew right now is standing behind me. Literally, this farm would not exist without all these awesome people that have worked for me over the years. And many of them have worked for me for many years. So I'm really, really lucky. Really lucky. Ella, right there. Andrea, Rafa, Diego, Joe, Antonio, Brad, Megan, literally her last day was on Friday, but Megan has been with me for 3 years. And I mean, so many other people have worked here over the last many years. And I mean, if you guys are farming, obviously you know that it takes a lot of hands to do this work. So, yeah, I'm really lucky. Does anybody have any questions right now before we...
How many acres are we on?
So the total farm is 82 acres, and I have about 11 acres in vegetable production, which is not enough, I could say. Like, so I started with produce, and we expanded, added flowers. Probably 4 years in, I started growing flowers also, and we've sort of slowly added, more and more flowers over the years. But the way that the farm has grown, 11 acres is really not enough to make a living. I need more ground. I need more ground so I can do more cover cropping. I need more ground so I can do more rotations. I need more ground so I can grow larger volumes of the types of crops that take a lot of space. Melons, winter squash, carrots, root vegetables, storage type winter vegetables. But I'm hemmed in here.
Are you limited because you have a lot of that acreage is trees or too
yes.
wet or too wet
yes.
or too
so
dry?
I am cultivating all of the available cultivatable space. All the rest of the farm looks like that. Hilly, trees, wooded. Now, I built my greenhouse, I built my barn with lumber from the farm. So the lumber is definitely useful, but it's hilly and not suitable for vegetable production.
Mushroom cultivation?
Yep, we had mushrooms for many years, and right now I'm in a drought. We don't have any logs right now.
I just didn't know if you inoculated or ginseng or something in the forest.
No, I haven't gotten into any of that. I want to grow a head of lettuce that in 45 days will bring me $4.50. Yeah. Tony?
Did you certify organic early on in the process? And could you speak to your role in Central Missouri as one of the few certified organic growers.
Yeah. So very luckily, this farm was owned by somebody else that was growing vegetables. It was on a much smaller scale, but he was growing vegetables. So it was very easy for me to be certified my very first year that I started farming. He signed an affidavit stating that he had not used any prohibited chemicals in the time 7 years that he had owned the farm. And my certifier was like, fine, no problem. So I have been certified organic for 11 years. We're also Real Organic Project certified. And yeah, there's not that many small-scale vegetable production farms in Missouri that are certified organic. Very few of us, actually. I'm proud of it. I will say that I started with winter production my very first year that I started farming. I only had one high tunnel, so it was not very much. But the winter production, you know, there are not very many people that are willing to go to market 52 Saturdays a year and that through the winter months have a great selection of produce through the winter. And so, yeah, like right now, Saturday, 2 days ago, there were 75 vendors at my farmer's market. And come December, there's gonna be 30. So I have very little competition in the winter. So winter growing for me is it's great. So I have really ramped up winter production in the last 6 years.
Has that market always been a year-round market?
It has always been a year-round market, but in the last 3 years, our market built a huge pavilion. They partnered with the Columbia Center for Urban Agriculture, and they have a fabulous urban farm at the location of the pavilion now. And so we're not moving, you know, from where we set up outside in the summer to a different place in the middle of the winter. And we have a lot more space now in the winter, which has vastly improved, you know, sales and attendance at the winter market. Yeah, so that's been awesome and has helped, in my opinion, help the farms grow a lot because we have a much better attendance now in the winter. Yeah, that's really key. You know, if you're gonna do a lot of winter production, that's key. So I've just added more tunnels, more and more, and not only for winter production, but in June, the first week of June. First week of June this year, we got 15 inches of rain in 24 hours. Holy buckets. And so the more plastic, the better. I mean, I want to grow everything under plastic. I can't afford to lose crops. I can't afford to lose a planting, you know, however much, whatever it is. And so, yeah, we're a lot of tunnels. Yeah, Wes.
Liz, where are your tunnels coming from?
Numerous places. Some of them let's look. So the PVC pipe tunnels covered in plastic, I build those, but I'm slowly phasing those out. The peak roof tunnels that are made out of metal, those are Farmer's Friend tunnels. Farmer's Friend, if you're familiar with Farmer's Friend tunnels, and they have winter production stuff in them right now, so we're gonna look at them. But they sell their tunnels in 100-foot long, like you can buy a 100-foot long tunnel. It's like a pre-packaged deal. Well, nothing in my world is 100 feet long. That's way too short, way too small. So I buy their tunnels and make my own tunnels. But those peak tunnels are Farmer's Friend tunnels, and then my high tunnels come from Zimmerman via Morgan County Seed. But Zimmerman is literally 40 minutes from here. I am very lucky. Like, I drive to them to pick up my tunnels. Yeah, we're very lucky. Yeah.
So you said you're phasing out your PVC.
Yes.
In favor of the
Farmer's Friend tunnels, mostly because the plastic degrades over, like, it lasts fine for a year, but if you go into it, and this is 4-year, 6 mil poly, but you'll see along the rib where the PVC hoop is, the plastic. There's some, I don't know what it is that's happening. If it's causing it to degrade faster, or it's the rubbing. I don't know.
Liz, how many years before it starts to degrade like that? You get 2, 3 years?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Off of a 4-year
plastic.
piece of plastic. No way.
No, okay.
Yeah. Also, but all of my high tunnels, I've been super fortunate. You know, I'm a woman. I'm in Montauk County. I'm certified organic. The NRCS loves me. So all of my tunnels have been cost shared through the NRCS. All of them. Over 3 different application sort of terms. Because the NRCS has money. They're looking to give it to people.
So the NRCS grant did pay for the movable tunnels?
Yep, cost share. Their main. This is my NRCS office. I do hear that there are differences between one office to the next, but they require that you buy a kit. You can't, like, they would not pay for it on like these ones that I built myself. But the Farmer's Friend tunnel is a kit. You buy it as a kit from them, and it has to have end walls. I mean, they've got these requirements, and these movable tunnels, even though movable, fit their requirements. Whether it was actually intended to be used for that, I can't tell you. I actually think that it wasn't, but don't care. They're paying me to put these up, and dollar for dollar square foot to put up a Farmer's Friend tunnel compared to a high tunnel is a lot cheaper.
And so what percentage of the cost do they cover?
Oh, these new Farmer's Friend tunnels?
Yeah.
150%.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm putting a lot of money in my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we go and look at maybe some of the winter vegetable production stuff? Yeah. I will just say that winter vegetable production relies very heavily on a very organized seeding schedule. Because all the crops that we are transplanting and have been transplanting for the last 4 weeks, were seeded in the greenhouse many weeks ago. Very key. If you're gonna harvest stuff for the winter, very key. So this tunnel right now has radicchio and leeks in it. The leeks will probably come out December-ish. The radicchio has started to come out. In the past, I don't know, 5 years probably, I really have started growing a lot more radicchio. The problem is that it's a pretty long season. Like, some of them are shorter, 50-ish days, but some of them are 100 days. And so I bumped my seeding date up this year by a couple of weeks, but it was really hot in September, which caused a lot of these very cold weather loving crops to bolt. So I probably will bump my seeding back a couple of weeks. So usually I'm harvesting radicchio in December, but as you can see, I mean, we've already harvested a ton of these heads. So learning. But the leeks are gonna come out probably in December, and then that third bed that's over to the east, that one's gonna get planted with our very last round of lettuce. Maybe not this week, because we got a fair bit of rain over the weekend, but soon. We just have one more round of lettuce to put in, and then we'll be done with our transplanting for the winter. Johnny's right there. That's my seed rep, Wes. He came from Maine. And some of his friendly competitors, High Mowing, Osborne. Those are the 3 companies, main companies.
Same again,
Johnny's, High Mowing, and Osborne. As a certified organic farm, you know, we're required to buy certified organic seed unless we can't find the varieties that we're looking for that are not available as certified organic seed. And you have to prove to your certifier that you have looked at least 3 seed sources for that variety before you can buy the variety, if it's not available as organic seed.
Liz, is this the plastic on here? Is this biodegradable white on black?
It
Or
is.
Okay.
Yes.
'Cause through my sunglasses, it almost looks blue. It's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Mhm.
What brand are you preferring?
Biotello.
Biotello.
Yeah.
Liz,
Yeah.
repeat his question.
Oh,
When I'll
yeah,
get it.
sure. So Dan asked about the plastic that we're using, and it's Biotello. It's white on black. I can either flip it upside down if it's in the middle of summer, or flip it to the white side for like the vertigo that prefers cool weather, cooler temperatures.
So you don't have to remove that?
You do have to remove it, and we do. Like,
Okay.
I will go through here, we'll pick it up as much as possible, but it starts to degrade. I mean, it's a very fast degrading material.
How hard is it to remove when it's
Oh, it's pretty,
degrading like that?
yeah, it's annoying. And some of it, we leave little pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do it for what reason? Because you've got a lot of plastic over here that's reusable.
Like on the ground? No, I don't.
With the holes
We-
burned in it?
Yes, no, that is weed mat,
Right.
and that is reusable. Yes, that's true. I don't have that much weed mat. This is a lot cheaper than weed mat. I use weed mat more for crops that are going to be in the ground a lot longer.
Where do you get it from?
If you give me a second, I'll think of it.
Okay.
They have a location in Kansas City and in St. Louis. Hummert. Whoever said that, thank you very much, Jenna. Yeah. So if you guys, for folks that are not doing a lot of winter production yet, one of the really important things that you have to be aware of is, in our world, we call it the Persephone period. And that is when the day length shortens enough and the day temperatures start to cool off enough that growth really stops. So you have to get your crops in the ground enough ahead of Persephone period so that they are fairly close to maturity by the time that the day lengths are shorter and the temperatures have cooled off enough so that the crops just sort of barely, they kind of sit there and wait for you to harvest them. So the key for me is to get things to like 3/4 of their maturity by the time that happens. By the time we reach, and Persephone for me is like November 11th. That's my brain, that's the date. Because I want the heads of lettuce and the kales and the chards and the spinach and etc. to be fairly mature by then. Because they're just gonna sit there and wait for me to harvest them. As long as I can keep them from getting damaged by freezing, which we can do by using row cover. Lots of row cover.
What's your last transplant date for your brassicas?
Brassicas?
Kale collard.
It was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Spinach, probably gonna do another one. Probably direct seed, more spinach. Carrots, I'm getting ready to try and direct seed carrots right now, but those won't come out until end of February, beginning of March. We have lettuce that we're getting ready to transplant. And I'll do probably, if I have space, I'll probably do another direct seeding of arugula and sassy mix, which is like a mustards mix. Also super short day compared to kale. In another week or 2 weeks. But pretty much we're done planting. Pretty much. We would be done this week if it hadn't have rained enough that like I can't get this bed planted.
What weight row cover are you using?
I use what is it called? Pro 19 or Pro 30,
Okay, so
multiple layers. I do have some really heavy row cover, but I don't really like it because it's heavy and it's hard to move. I would rather move multiple layers of lighter weight row cover.
This will probably make Jenna and Tiffany laugh, but what kind of carrots are you gonna grow?
It depends on the time of the year. Like right now, I'm probably gonna direct seed Sugar Snacks or Bolero.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Probably Sugar Snacks. Tony?
I know they're mostly over there, but how do you make the evaluation of your various hot crops when looking into the fall and into winter? When do you pull the plug on tomatoes and peppers to get these things in
Yeah.
versus let them go till frost?
that actually, with the addition of more tunnels, has become a much easier decision for me to leave them. But it used to be really hard to say I can afford to not harvest these tomatoes anymore because I need to plant this kale that in 6 weeks is actually going to make me more money. And when you don't have a lot of tunnel space, that is really hard to make that decision. So it's actually not hard anymore. And I leave them in longer because I am not as crunched for space. We pulled out last week 2 rows of tomatoes. We'll see them out of one of my high tunnels. And I left some of the other ones. It's fine.
Mostly indeterminate.
They're all indeterminates. There's a newly planted crop of lettuce that in the sharing a bed with some peppers, and that lettuce will probably be harvested mid-November, late November. If we walk that direction, I can show you like more. There, in the other tunnels, there's more winter stuff. That tunnel right there, and then this one are, I mean, you can see there's bok choy, and then there's spinach. This is broccoli rabe. This is escarole and endive frisee down there. And I mean, this is all stuff that's gonna go into winter CSA shares and to market. You know, November, December, spinach into January, February. The tunnels, these tunnels, really, I will not depend on these for January, February months. It'll be my high tunnels that stay warmer. And I actually added heat in the spring of this year. So this going into this winter is going to be the first year that I've ever had heat in any of my tunnels. But these tunnels are like November, December. The big high tunnels are January, February. That tunnel right there, and then this one are, I mean, you can see there's bok choy, and then there's spinach. This is broccoli rabe. This is escarole and endive frisee down there. And I mean, this is all stuff that's gonna go into winter CSA shares and to market. You know, November, December, spinach into January, February. The tunnels, these tunnels, really, I will not depend on these for January, February months. It'll be my high tunnels that stay warmer. And I actually added heat in the spring of this year. So this going into this winter is going to be the first year that I've ever had heat in any of my tunnels. But these tunnels are like November, December. The big high tunnels are January, February.
Liz, could you speak to your most profitable winter crops? Probably lettuce and then...
Lettuce, kales, and spinach. Absolutely. Those for sure. Although, I would not discount the significance of storage crops. Storage crops are really important because they don't cost a whole lot to keep through the winter and people buy them every week. So, having carrots and winter squash and sweet potatoes and my onion crop was very bad this year, so I'm not really going to have any onions, but having those also with the greens, it brings people to my booth.
Daikon radish?
Yeah, sure. All the storage radishes, all the different kinds of storage radishes and turnips. Yeah, really, you could not give somebody a Scarlet Queen turnip. Literally, we have the most beautiful Scarlet Queen and Violet Queen turnips right now. And I took many bunches of them last week to market, and I sold not one. Not one bunch.
And what's the reason?
Because people are still buying spring radishes and lettuce, but give me a month, and they'll buy every single bunch that I take. It's a very funny thing. Like, when the tomatoes are gone, the people will buy the storage crops. But there's still lots of tomatoes and peppers and summer stuff at market.
So you grow different kinds of turnips. What do you find is a reason for who likes this turnip, who likes this turnip, what?
Well, I don't grow like purple top turnips because I think that like these newer hybrids, I would call them a hybrid, they are better. They taste better. Hakurai and Violet Queen and Scarlet Queen, they're just delicious. And they're beautiful, but they're delicious. And they store, I mean, I have Scarlet Queen turnips in my walk-in cooler right now that I harvested in November last year.
Huh.
They got a few little random little spots on them, but they are beautiful. Not that I'm actually eating any right now, but they're in my walk-in.
Liz, are you a vegetable hoarder?
I think I am. I have a problem. I have canned Bravo in my walk-in too.
Oh yeah, those. I like those things.
Yeah.
I have a question about
Yeah.
your, you have straw for weed control?
Yes.
Do you have anything under it? And
Nope.
Does it work pretty good?
It does work pretty good.
How much do you put down? I mean, do you
Pretty
try-
darn thick.
Okay.
This patch, like this is its second application this year.
Yeah.
So when there were tomatoes in here before all this stuff got planted, there were tomatoes and Swiss chard, and there were weeds in the pathway, but we yanked those up and put down more straw, and now I won't have to do anything until next spring.
Liz, can you get sterile straw?
One of my neighbors grows straw for me.
Dog.
I know.
Oh, man.
Bougie.
Yeah, I pay top dollar for it, but
Is it in the wheat family?
it's wheat. It is wheat. It is wheat straw. It's got wheat seeds in it, but I don't care. Wheat's really easy to pull up, and yeah. I buy every bale that he bales.
Liz, what's your secret sauce for storing carrots? Mine get kind of rubbery.
Harvested with plenty of moisture when they are harvested, and stored dirty. And I only wash them when I pull them out as I need them.
Okay. Keep tops on everything?
No tops.
Oh,
Tops
okay.
gone. That's why they're getting if you're keeping the tops on, that's why.
Okay.
Do you have any trouble with the excess organic matter from the straw when you're trying to do spring bed work?
No, we like rake it into the pathway. We just sort of rake it out of the bed
I
so
see.
that it's not in the way for tilling.
I got you.
Can you walk us through your bed prep?
Sure. Okay, like when we pulled tomatoes out of the center bed, it was on weed mat because I had interplanted lettuce with it when we planted the tomatoes back in April. So yank up the weed mat, pull out the drip tape, set it off to the side, broad fork, and this is only in a tunnel. Let me just be very clear. I do not broad fork anything if it's in a field because I'm a tractor. So broad fork compost once a year, a compost application. If it's a winter crop, a higher application of pounds per acre fertilizer that I get from Midwestern BioAg. Till once, put the drip tape back down, put the weed net back down, plant.
When you say till once, that's with BCS?
Yeah. Although I am contemplating getting a rotary harrow. So I saw one at a friend's farm maybe a couple of weeks ago. It was small. So I work on really wide beds, which is sort of silly because I'm very short and I can't step over them. So I have to walk around. But I am told that you can order them wider. So like the one he had was a 30-inch rotary harrow, but I need, a wider one.
48-inch beds? Or?
Yeah. So I've contemplated getting one, but my BCS works great.
It was interesting about the added fertility for winter crops, and I think I know why, but how do you just have a simple percentage you do?
25% more,
Okay.
pretty much across the board. Maybe 30 for kale.
Yeah.
That's going to be there until April.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be asking a lot of it
You have to
all
side
winter.
dress it too, or?
Nope, just one time, all at the beginning.
Is that liquid or
Granular.
granular?
Is that their NKO?
It is. I use Veggie Plus and Veggie NKO.
Yeah.
But the Veggie Plus is just a once a year application for whatever. So for winter production, especially with long-term crops, you're asking a lot of those plants. You're going to harvest them many, many times. And they need more nutrition if they are going to continue to grow productively through the winter. So you've got to give them more. That's what they're asking about.
And you do that even if your soil test is showing that your nitrogen is good?
You betcha. Even more. Because that soil test is telling me that base level, I've got good numbers. It's not telling me that I'm going to be growing this crop of kale in that bed for 4 months, and I need it to produce, you know, this amount of production for these many months. It's not telling me that I need. It's not that the soil test is telling me. It's just telling me what's in the soil right now. I need to give the crop what it needs to grow.
And Liz, can you speak on watering through the winter and how that's reduced probably? And
Yeah, so a lot less watering in the winter months. A lot less. I don't know if I can tell you an amount, but I do have water hydrants, and you'll see them in all of my high tunnels. There is water in all of the tunnels. I don't know, once a month maybe I turn the water on. It's not very often. I don't know. Whenever I stick my finger in, I'm like, ooh, it's dry. Or I will say, I shouldn't say that I am that laissez-faire about it, because I pay really close attention. When I'm going to harvest kale, I want to make sure that it is as full of water as possible before I harvest it. And so the day before, I water. Now in the winter, it doesn't work quite like that, but absolutely in the rest of the season, I water everything that's going to be a bunched green or even a head of lettuce the day before I'm going to harvest it. So I pay pretty close attention in the winter.
How do you manage the varying zones of, if you said how many fields you have, you know,
Amount.
Yeah, in terms of controlling zone for zone during the course of the heat of the summer?
Well, I have somebody that helps me. Rafa, we have a board that hangs on the barn, and I field walk, you know, many times a week, and I write notes and I text him, and he does the watering. But yeah, it's a lot of, you know, me just walking around and looking at things and making sure that he knows that we need X number of bunches of kale on whichever day, and so he's got in his brain that we need to harvest or we need to water the day before. It's a lot. It is a lot, but that's, you know, we're growing so many different crops.
Yeah. You just have full pressure up to a ball valve at each field? And
yes, full pressure up to a ball valve that does most of the regulating. There are some pressure reducers, but that's one thing that I totally would have done differently. And if I ever put in another well, I will put in an agricultural well and not just a, you know, 25 or 30 psi well. I need more. I need to be able to water more things at once, rather than, you know, making sure that this field gets watered today and that field over there gets watered tomorrow. But
so would that be a more powerful pump then?
It would be a bigger well, bigger diameter, and more powerful pump.
Okay.
How many of your crew stay on through the winter? You said
That's hard to say. Everybody goes down to part-time hours, but I'll have probably 4 people working through the winter this winter.
4 part-time or 4 full-time equivalent?
4 part-time. Yeah, 4 part-time. I'm tired by the winter, and I don't want to work as much. Yeah.
You were talking about soil testing an awful lot. So when you do just one bed, or you do the whole hoop house, or how do you do that?
So I have fields, and those fields are what I test. So, like that tunnel over there that has, well, really, it's the tunnel right before the metal tunnel.
Okay.
Okay. So that tunnel to here is field B. So in this section, I will take soil samples many different places out of all of these tunnels, and that's field B. And there's field A, and so it's not like my high tunnels are their own field.
Okay. Liz, do you do leaf samples during the crop, or do you just wait for trouble?
So I did for the first time this year on some tomatoes that I felt were nutrient deficient, and they weren't. They weren't. But that was the first year that I've done that.
Liz, can you talk about Have you experienced snow load on these ones?
So this is my first year with this tunnel. So I have no experience with snow load on this tunnel. The plastic ones, yeah, they don't hold up to snow at all. But I also am not relying on them during the main times that mostly it snows, which is January, February. The plastic will come off of like all those tunnels, the plastic hoop ones. We'll just lay the plastic down to the side. But these are I'm gonna leave this plastic on. I'm hoping, John, that these are okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I'm here all the time, so if I need to push snow, I'll push snow.
Gotcha.
Does it stay in this configuration during the summer? The
3 beds?
half up, the sides, the plastic.
Yep, never moves. Yeah.
Just to keep airflow moving. And you control it within the tunnel with more layers of row cover when you.
Oh yeah. So maybe I need to clarify your question.
No,
are you asking about the winter?
I was asking
she's talking about the summer. So in the winter, the sides will go they'll go down.
Yeah.
Little mini hoops will go over. Row cover will go on top of those. Yeah.
3 row covers or one big one for the whole thing?
3 row covers as in like individual. Yeah. It'll be one big sheet for the tunnel. And then as it gets colder, I'll add another layer. Yeah, but 1 sheet per tunnel.
And do you
but there's hoops on all the beds.
Do you go on and off with your row cover to allow more light and vents and stuff?
So in February, not so much. But yeah, if like in December, yeah. And I mean, Missouri is fickle. Like we will get a random warm day in February, and so yeah, then I will uncover and roll the side, push the sides up, or on my high tunnels roll the sides down. But yeah, definitely. Like we do have a lot of gray days that stay cold, so I don't uncover things in that condition. Yeah. And the more tunnels that I've added, it has significantly increased my workload in the winter, which is one of the reasons I have employees in the winter. A lot of row cover.
I suppose multiple layers of row cover also, gets around when you get a tear in one.
Yeah.
The tears often don't line up.
Right. Right. Shall we keep going towards some high tunnels?
What's your preferred varieties for winter?
For winter, Aroon. Sorry, Wes. You don't carry Aroon, I don't think. Kale. Yeah. And Premier, which is a white Russian-esque style variety of kale. And then the collards, I think it's Champion.
Can't carry it all.
Yeah.
Although we try.
Your vent, your gable vent here doesn't appear to be connected to anything. How do you control?
So I actually, in the winter, I leave it open. It's open all the time.
All the time?
All the time.
Okay.
And this tunnel the fans aren't hooked up yet, but that's one of our sort of here very soon projects. I keep the fans running 24/7 all winter long. I don't want the moisture building up inside the tunnel. The vent is open all the time. And it'll still build up even with the vent open and the fans on. As long as I can keep the stuff down below warm from freezing. Yeah, they're open all the time.
Yeah. And so the lowest temperature, do you have a temperature monitor underneath the internal cover?
So this temperature monitor is not in here right now. I don't know. I think it got taken out when we were doing this. But yeah, they hang pretty low.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what does it get down to, underneath your internal cover down here?
20, 18. I mean, decently cold.
Yeah. Great.
I did 3. I'm trying to think when. 3 years ago is when I Wi-Fi'd the whole farm and now have temperature monitors everywhere, on everything, in everything. It's all connected to my phone, and I get alerts. High temperatures, cold temperatures, and I pay very close attention to them. Yeah.
So you mentioned you're going to have heat in your high tunnel.
Yeah.
Are you using propane?
It's propane, and it's right now I've just got it in my flower tunnel and the tunnel that's up on the hill. And really, I just am going to keep it right above freezing. There's some growers that say it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So probably it'll happen to all the tunnels.
Did you say what app or whatever you're using?
I'm on it is the app.
You're using it.
Yeah. So these aren't Clipper. These are just, which I got from Johnny's. They're just strings, rolls. It's a roll on a string. And I like them. They work fine. They're fast. They're easy. It's how we trellis tomatoes, cucumbers, and you'll see. So we've got tomatoes still up in one of our tunnels, so you can see how we're using them.
I wonder if they were.
Yeah, so it's just you reuse. I mean, you can either. This year I was in a hurry and I didn't roll the string back up. I just cut it off and we're throwing the string away. But there's a lot of string on that spool. Many years worth.
What clips do you use for the cucumbers?
Can I show you up in Wayne? It's the same ones I use on the tomatoes. I'll show you. $3,000. And that was with all the monitoring equipment, all the temperature, like everything. Yeah. I used Robert Arnold Small Farm Innovations because I am not a tech person. So if I have a problem, I text Robert and he fixes it. Yeah.
That's Paul and Sandy's son, right?
It's Paul and Sandy Arnold's son. Smart Farm Innovations. Tell him I sent you. Smart Farm Innovations. Robert, he is great. He is great. First of all, he grew up on a vegetable farm. So he totally knows what we're talking about. And he knows what we need. And he's young and he's very, very tech savvy. Again, the weed mat, well, this is plastic. But yes, in the weed mat, yes. You could see it. We could go over to this
What was the
tunnel and you
What
could
was the
see.
question?
If I burn holes in my weed mat, yes.
And Liz, you have temperature and moisture sensors?
No moisture.
Oh, no moisture.
I just do temperature.
What do you use to burn the holes?
A little handheld flame leading little torch.
You use a can, or you're just going down.
It just has a like a wand, and the flame comes out, and you just
right. I was gonna say.
I mean, you could use a wand with like a metal thing, but yeah. I'm fast.
I noticed most of your tunnels out here, you have the shorter sidewalls.
Yeah.
Why?
A lot of people ask me why I wasn't going to put in the tall sidewalls, and I don't notice. I mean, there's fans moving the air in the middle of the summer. The end walls have huge doors on them. I mean, on my wide tunnels, there are 4 doors, and you can see, like, that is, it opens up really wide. And I haven't noticed that having a taller sidewall would make that much of a difference with the temperature, and it's a lot more money. So I just have never put in the tall sidewalls. So this tunnel is now, it's only flowers, and it actually is getting hard with our rotation. So we're putting up some cat tunnels to be able to improve and get better at rotating all the flowers. Because we're growing more flowers.
What are your favorite high tunnel varieties of tomatoes?
Well, wouldn't you know if you asked that? So I was a staunch believer in that high tunnels and heirlooms, and I can do good with my airflow, and I can keep disease pressure down and whatever. So I've never planted grafted tomatoes before, but I went in with a fellow farmer friend this spring and I bought a couple of trays, and that's what these 2 rows are, and I am never planting a non-grafted tomato ever again. I mean, these tomatoes have been pumping out fruit and hardly have any disease, and oh man.
So what's the scion that you have that you did the?
This is Estamina rootstock and Gin Fizz tomato.
Did you like Gin Fizz?
I like Gin Fizz. It's not as flavorful as striped German, but darn is it a nice tomato. But I am going to grow grafted tomatoes, like, yeah.
Field and tunnel?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Liz, when are you going to plant your overwintering onions?
Probably the first week of October, second week of October.
Sounds good.
Their plants are ready. I mean, they're ready to go, but I don't want to put them in too early. That's when I'll plant okra. That's when I'll plant garlic. So, yeah, first, second week. I literally hardly grow any spring planted onions anymore.
What variety?
For overwinter, I like Desert Sunrise, and we can look at the greenhouse what the white one is. I don't remember what it's called.
And then they're ready. These are spring onions, or these are onion
I'll
onions?
start harvesting them in April.
But they're spring onions? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these are out in the field?
Out in the field.
Green onions.
And do you row cover them in the winter?
Nope. Planted on plastic. Cover crop in between the pathways.
Does it matter a lot if you like were to go 2 weeks later or 2 weeks prior for the plant? Like, have you
I
experimented
think
with
earlier
day
it would
length?
matter a lot, but I don't think it would matter that much if I went like a week or 2 weeks later.
You ever have them bolt on you before?
They always want to bolt in the spring, but I mean we just get them out of the ground.
Yeah, timing wise.
Yeah, I will say I tried it 2 years, leeks, growing them the same way, and I'm not going to keep doing that. They bolt too soon before they have chance to really bulb up, head up. So I'm not going to keep doing leeks. That's why I have, this is the first year I've gone with a later planting of leeks to get me into the winter. And I may increase those by a lot so that I have them in the winter. Because I haven't ever planted them to have them late. But I'm not going to plant them for overwintering.
And the fear of planting them maybe a little too early, that was related to the bolting, you think? Or?
I don't know. You mean for in the fall?
Yeah.
No, I think that they just don't like the the fluctuation in temperatures. I think.
I gotcha.
I mean everything's gonna bolt come the spring, but leeks just don't. I don't know if it just takes them longer to get to size, and they don't have enough time to do that before they want to bolt. I'm not sure, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't think it works really well for leeks. If you want like little leeks, great, but
Who does?
They might think it's their second year biannual, and they say, "Hey, it's
right with onions too."
time to go,"
Right.
Have you found a sweet spot similarly for spinach? To make the most of it before that April bolt.
Keep planting it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll plant spinach in December. I'll plant spinach in January. I'll plant spinach in February.
January, February, are you planting it outside, or are you still inside?
In a tunnel.
Yeah. Transplant or not, or direct seed?
Let me think. So I direct seed. I pretty much would say I direct seed it, but when I direct seed it, I start some in my greenhouse,
Yeah, 'cause I see
so
you've
I
got
can
some in
fill
there.
some in.
Okay.
Now, like I have a planting in one of the cat tunnels that's out there that, if only it had not been so darn hot. Like it germinated so poorly, but I had 6 flats that we started in the greenhouse, and so we transplanted them all, but it only made it like halfway down the tunnel, and so I started more, and that's just all going to be transplanted. I've had a lot of trouble this fall with spinach. It's been hot.
What's the variety?
Right now, the one that I'm particularly talking about that's in that tunnel is Red Tabby. But I just seeded last week Sioux out in the field, and I've also got a planting of Space out in the field.
You do anything with paper pot transplanter?
No, it's a lot of money for that thing. I know. Doesn't Sege, you guys have one?
Yeah.
New this year? Last year, maybe?
Last year.
You love it?
Yeah. If the soil is bad, it's like very good to just have. Perfect.
It's perfect.
Like it's very rocky or wet. It's
Yeah.
very hard.
I have a lot of employees, and I'm a very fast transplanter. Diego kicked my butt this fall. Oh my God. Yeah.
Do you do blocks or do you
Soil
do
blocks?
You do soil blocks.
That's right. You do.
I mean, I'm not saying that the paper bot transplanter, I'm sure it works for folks. I'm sure. And especially if you don't have a lot of employees, but it's a very expensive piece of equipment. And and also I'd have to change my whole seeding. I mean, I use soil blocks
And then you use a water wheel transplanter for the field.
outside.
Yes.
But inside, how are you? Do you like have a gritter, or how are you doing for spacing?
Drip tape.
Drip tape, right on the drip.
Yeah.
So it's
4-inch or
running.
12-inch.
So you keep your drip running while you transplant. So you.
Yep. And I mean, if there's weed mat, it's like burned. But yeah, drip tape.
You use a single spacing drip tape, and then it doesn't, 12 inches. We use all 6-inch. I was curious if you switch it
So
out.
I use 4-inch because, like, especially on these tomatoes, I want a lot of water. So I've just decided that I like the 4-inch, and then if it's lettuce, 12-inch. But
Good for carrots and radishes and stuff too.
yeah.
Your lettuce is 12-inch apart.
12-inch spacing
Wow.
for most varieties, except for the little gems, which are 8-inch.
It's luxurious lettuce spacing.
Yes, it is, but I let my heads get very big.
$4.50 a head.
Yeah. 4 falls ago, I got a FSA cold storage loan to add on to the barn. That beam right there, I mean, that's where the barn ended from the original barn that I built. And we were washing and packing over on the other side, and you could peek, like, now it's Flower World. But this new side, we added on. And my motivation for doing that was that fall, or the fall before, I had so many storage crops that I filled my walk-in and I had no room, and I still had crops that needed to go in cold storage. And I was like, well, I'm not ever gonna do that again. So I have a super huge walk-in cooler, and I've not yet outgrown it. I don't think that my ground will outgrow this walk-in cooler. I can stack 3 pallets high. It's a lot of room. And then on this side, this is a cool room. This one's run by a cool bot. And in the summer, it's tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and eggplant and whatever. And in the winter, it's sweet potatoes and winter squash and potatoes. And this room also is very large. I can't imagine that my growing will get big enough that I need more. That's 33, 34, and this one's 55, 58.
And that's just one cool bot?
One cool bot, yeah. One air conditioner.
No dehumidifier?
No. I would say I put a lot of thought into flow and how I wanted things to come in and move through. I do not own obviously because I don't have one here, like a brush washer and a wash table, but I think I'm gonna buy one. And so things are gonna get reconfigured in here. But that's not the end of the world. I think actually this whole thing is gonna move. On the back side, there's a bubbler, big bulk tank bubbler for washing greens, and a salad spinner. And this space is smaller than the footprint is smaller than the space that I used to have, but it is 20 times more efficient. And it works great.
How many days a week do you harvest?
We harvest, wash, pack 2 days a week. Yeah. Like today, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we harvest, wash, pack 2 days a week. Mostly on Mondays, maybe a tiny little bit on Tuesdays, and then on Fridays.
And when is produce going out then in terms of that?
Wednesday morning, as soon as Rafa gets the truck loaded and is moving out, and Saturday to market. And I don't go to a midweek farmer's market. As fabulous as our market is in Columbia, the midweek market isn't great. I tried last year, 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago, selling at our midweek market, and it just wasn't worth my time.
And Liz, did you already talk about your breakdown? How much of your produce goes to CSA versus you do pre-order stuff now?
Sorry again?
I can't remember your mix of sales mix.
Market is probably 50 to 55% now, and CSA is 40.
Saturday.
Yeah. And then some wholesale. That market has really outgrown the CSA.
Wow. Yeah. And then, do you do Are you doing pre-orders? I can't remember.
Yes.
I'm on your email.
Yeah. Yeah. So as a result of COVID, I've added an online ordering website added to my website option, and I am still offering it. Why? I don't know. Because it's really, I mean, it's nothing. It's pittance.
Really?
You know, it's like $800 a week. It's like driving me crazy.
$800 a week is pittance.
Totally driving me crazy. Yeah.
We'll take your pittance.
I mean, it's a lot of labor. It's a lot of labor. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of, you know, sorting through the orders, each individual order. It's a lot of individual box packing. I mean, compared to $3,000 a week last year, it's annoying. Because it's on top of CSA orders, it's on top of restaurant orders, grocery store orders. Yeah.
So you're not having, it's not like you just pre-order a share and then it's the same as the
No,
CSA
it's like
share.
by item.
Yeah.
2 heads of lettuce, 1 bunch of kale,
Right,
1
right,
pint of shishito peppers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Liz, your our old boss or your old boss told me one time, he says, you can make money, but he said you can take that same help maybe and make a lot more money. So it ain't about what you're making now.
Yeah,
It's what you can do. And you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Yes.
I've learned a lot from that man.
Me too. And he was younger than me. One more question. Do you put multi-varieties of vegetables in that walk-in tray? Where is your mix of temp and humidity, because you can't satisfy everybody?
So everything is in bins. Nothing is open. If it's in a crate like if it's in a black crate like this, it's in a plastic bag. So all the greens and the root vegetables, you know, that are in here are in there. None of them are just open air because it would totally dehydrate them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what's your temperature set at and the humidity set at?
There's no humidity monitoring temperature. I mean, there's no humidity
Well, good.
thing.
You're doing
This
well.
is 34. Oh yeah, everything does great here.
There you go.
Totally great.
I've been
That
driving
one is
myself nuts with all this trying to get automated into that. I've never had a cooler till recent. It's always been a cool room.
It's great.
Yes, I believe.
I used to have my walk-in, 34-degree walk-in, off of a CoolBot, and I mean, this is a compressor. And
yes.
I know that people are using them, multiple daisy-chained CoolBots, you know, multiple air conditioners in one big room.
Costs a lot of money then.
Yeah, it does. It starts to add up, and the compressor, you know, was X number of dollars, but it works great. And in the time, you know, whatever, 8 years, 9 years of having the CoolBot run I replaced air conditioners 3 times. Well, I've never done anything with this compressor except for clean the bins. Yeah.
Are you also using these bins for harvest?
Depends. Sometimes, but not always. It depends on, is it gonna get washed and used, you know, like today or tomorrow? Then it's going in black crates often, because I don't have that many of these. We really use these for cleaned produce.
So how do you wash and sanitize them?
We have a power washer, and we just set up tables in a square and power wash them off every couple of weeks. I will say that if I had known that vegetable production was going to be the size that it is right now when I first started, I would absolutely tell you to first and foremost build the Packshed that you think you might grow into, because this is so much better than what I was doing. It is worth the money. I literally, that would be the one thing that I would totally have done differently. I would have built the Packshed first. Concrete floors, floor drains, big walk-in cooler, drive my tractor right up here with big pallet bins, unload them, use a pallet jack to move stuff in and around on the concrete. Roth is really tall and he stacks stuff taller than the door, and so then I have to stand on something to unstack it. Yeah. I'm gonna, at some point, I don't know when, I'm going to change this door. Probably make it a sliding door that's taller. But
Now, I know you do a lot of head lettuce. Do you do mixed green lettuce as well?
no,
So
no cut lettuces at all. I do arugula, I do what I call a sassy salad mix, which is mustards and baby kale, spinach, but no lettuce mix. I have a pretty fierce competitor at the farmer's market that sells lettuce, cut lettuce in bags. And I don't have any desire to compete with them.
But with your like sassy mix and all that, that's the same wash process. So you do have a bubbler and dryer and all that for it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Sometimes when it's really beautiful and clean out of a high tunnel, I don't wash it.
That's becoming more popular as long as your customers know.
Yeah.
It's more food safe.
Totally.
I have signs all over that say, wash your produce. Farmer Liz says, wash your produce.
And you find that it doesn't like degrade faster if it hasn't had that cold wash?
If you don't harvest it really early in the morning, absolutely you bet. But we harvest it first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
First
and
thing.
Cold dunk if it's dirty.
Yep.
If not, straight in.
Yep.
What time are you starting? I was gonna say, I can't imagine what first time in the morning is.
In the middle of the summer, my crew starts at 6:30. My new crew will probably want to start earlier, I bet. So I will tell you guys, this is my 11th year. I have had over many years lots of employees. I've had interns and many wonderful young people that are interested in learning about farming. I have reached a point in a size that I am tired of training new employees every single year. And I need to have employees that can make a consistent sized bunch of kale, and I can show them and teach them one time, and then I don't have to do it again. And so this year I hired some H2A workers. That was Antonio and Diego. And I will be hiring more H2A workers next year, and fewer people that are young and think that they're interested in farming. As fabulous and wonderful as I love the young people that think that they're interested in farming, they are here for a year, or 2 years, or 3 years, but they're not gonna be here consistently for a long time. And I am really tired. I'm tired. I want people that want to farm and want to work and that know what a consistent bunch of kale looks like and can harvest every single time a consistent bunch of kale.
And Liz, are you the main person that goes to market, or do you have employees?
I have 4 employees that help me at market now. I mean, I didn't used to, but we are a very big stall at market, and we are moving a lot of customers through our booth, and I need a lot of help.
Wow, so a team of 5.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it like 3 10x10s?
Right now it's 4.
Wow.
Double, it's like 2 and 2, double back, but next year it's gonna be 3 and 3.
So when did you hire your first employee? Like what year?
My very first year,
Okay.
I had some part-time folks that helped me my very first year with 19 CSA members. No market my very first year, no wholesale my very first, I just did CSA. But my next year I had like 57 CSA members and started selling at a farmer's market. And I ran a garden center before I started farming and worked for some pretty awesome employers. And I learned a lot about nothing related to farming, but about running a business, having employees, managing people, and that has made it much easier for me, I feel, in the world of having employees to get bigger.
Well, what size were you working at? Like an acre or 2 whenever you first started? Or?
Oh, less than an acre. When I very first started, it was that front field. Yeah.
So one of the graduate students that just finished, master's students under Carrie Rivard, her thesis, and she said we ought to be able to find it online. She interviewed 10 growers and all about the business side, not growing anything, but just the business side. Where did you learn? What did you do? And
I think she interviewed me.
She may,
I'm pretty sure.
Megan.
Yeah.
And the most successful, I would say all the growers, all of them that grew big and were most successful, all had a management position outside of vegetables prior to doing, so they learned how to manage employees, how to
run a business,
how to do spreadsheets, and just all those other details that you would get as
so many.